Okay, so very good morning. Today we are starting this module of Indian economy or economics. So all the mobiles should be on silent. I don't want to hear any messages, pings. Okay? Yeah. So today we are going to start the economy section of GS paper 3. It is in prelims as well as in the mains part. So first, before starting, the first half an hour should be understanding the requirements of UPSC, what kind of trend is there in the examination, and how you can manage this area, because this is a very high scoring area. Unlike in other sections, there is uncertainty, but in this section there is quite certainty. So before starting the journey of UPSC, all the aspirants should know what is the expectation of UPSC from you. So we have to draw a line. We don't have to do PhD in subjects. अगर आपको तैयारी करना है, एग्जाम निकालना है, then you should listen to the advice which we are going to discuss. We'll have around 45 lectures in this entire module. And in this module, we'll make sure that you are able to cover the basics of economy for all the competitions. In fact, many of my students have got to the RBI Grade B Junior. Recently, just 2 days ago, NAFBID results came. One of the classroom students got into NAFBID. NAFBID is a development finance bank that was started 2 years ago by Government of India. This section is highly scoring, especially if you are able to understand the subject conceptually. You don't have to memorize anything. Economy is one area where if you've invested in the class for next 100 hours, we'll be solving a lot of MCQs. At personal level, we'll be solving 500 MCQs in the class itself. So if you just cover that part, that will probably meet the entire requirement. And beyond that, you just have to follow one newspaper. The newspaper, either it could be The Hindu or Indian Express. So first I'll tell you about the examination, the syllabus, the trend, which questions are coming from what section. So पहले पढ़ाई की पढ़ाई करते हैं. First let's understand. Economy is a subject that we'll study for next 2 months. But let's understand the requirements of the exam. And also, if you're serious about the process of examination, you have to be very clear. The sources have to be very limited. This is a common mistake where aspirants, majority of them are facing problem. In the end, suddenly you realize that this is not ready, that is not ready, and FOMO comes in, and you start following multiple sources, and in the end, nothing is ready. I would ask you to be as regular as possible in the class, because class itself will meet most of the requirements of the competition. And you can judge the classes also by looking at the PYQs. Can you solve the questions? Because that is the barometer of preparation, how well I'm doing in the examination. So what is the expectation of UPSC? This I've picked it directly from the notification which UPSC gives every year. And that will help you to maybe draw a line what to study and what not to study. The nature of and the standard of questions in the general studies paper will be such that a well-educated person will be able to answer them without any specialized study. That means you don't have to do PhD, you don't have to do specialization. The question will be such that to test a candidate's general awareness of a variety of subjects which will have a relevance for the career in civil services. So कल आपको civil servant बनना है, you have to go into the services, and thereby the questions that might be asked in the examination, they will have relevance in your career also. And here we are preparing for a competition which is generalized. We are not preparing for a competition which is technical. For that we have technical examination separately. So whatever you will do tomorrow in the services, that will require a good understanding of the current issues. Conceptually, you have to be sound in your subject at basic level, of course. For example, in the general studies class 12th level, basics and one newspaper understanding is needed. For optional, the knowledge has to be to the level of honors subject. So for example, you do BA honors or political science honors, so that optional honors knowledge is required. But in GS, maybe one level below. Honors is one level up, right? So this is the requirement of the exam. And UPSC is very clear. Again, there are two parts of the examination. The first is prelims, second is the mains. In the prelim section, on an average, how many questions we get, we'll understand what kind of questions are coming. And if the trend is changing, on what lines trends are changing. Because eventually we have to clear the prelims examination, and cutoff there is not more than 45%. But this section can help you steer the examination if you are just regular with the newspaper and your class efforts. Beyond that, there are standard books in the market. I'll tell about those standard books also. Though we don't have a standard book, we have guides in the market. So none of the books are very good in the market. They are just guides. But if you really want to read a standard book, you have to go university level. There are certain good books like Datta Sundaram and Mishra and Puri, which I believe will be much higher in terms of the requirements of the exam. We don't have that much time. But ये जो market में किताबें ये guide हैं, so they are not standard books. They are summary of cut copy paste aspect is there. So they can be helpful only if your subject is clear. But if you're a beginner, they cannot help you because guide cannot teach you, right? So first understand the career in civil services will require you to have a basic understanding of the subject. The questions are likely to test basic understanding of all relevant issues and ability to analyze and take a view on conflicting social and economic goals, objectives, and demands. The candidates must give relevant and meaningful answers. Succinct answer means to the point, brief answers. This is the UPSC's requirement. Now, as I mentioned, we have two parts of the syllabus, the prelim syllabus as well as main syllabus. Okay, online students, yeah. So in the prelim syllabus, we have, this is what they have mentioned: sustainable development, poverty, inclusion, demographic and social sector initiatives. Now, if you try to analyze this area, you'll find that this section, mainly they are more concerned about Indian economy. But to understand Indian economy, at basic level, you have to have a understanding of economics at concept level. Okay, so you need to know what economics is as the subject, then the concepts of the economics, and then the same can be applied in Indian context. So they want to know why India is 4 trillion economy, why not it is 15 trillion economy, or maybe more. Why have we not developed? In spite of 79 years of India's independence, we are still a lower middle income country, where countries like Japan, China, South Korea, Singapore, Philippines, Malaysia, they have transitioned into developed economies in matter of few years or few decades. Why India is poor, if we say that India is poor comparatively, or for that matter, why India is not doing so better. But then, every journey has its own challenges, so we'll understand all that. So they are more concerned about the trends of the economy, how economy has functioned till now, the journey of economy. From the exam point of view, you have to look at that they will ask questions on why India is not industrialized, what is the way forward. If India is not industrialized, then will it do or not? How do we cater to the rising population, increasing demand, inequality in society, unemployment? Why there is so much disparity in different parts of India? Because UPSC would ask questions on these areas. So just mere studying a book will not do. A lot of your understanding will come from general reading and developing your analytical bent of understanding. And for that, you have to brainstorm, you have to think. So we will make detailed notes in the class. I'll be giving you handouts also in certain areas where there's too much of detailing is there. But mostly I'll be dictating in the class. Handouts would be in areas where I believe that too much detailing is there. So maybe so much writing is not possible in the class. But mostly the important part, the conceptual part, the information part, I'll be doing a lot of board work and I'll be dictating as well. So make sure your notes are prepared very properly, because these notes will carry for the next 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, till the time you get selected. And any examination in the country, the state services, the other examination, in every examination, these notes would be very helpful, because हम लोग इस पे अच्छा effort करेंगे. And my objective would be to make sure that, and I also assume that you have zero knowledge in economics. I'm assuming that you come from a background where you have zero knowledge. Also, I will make assumption here that students who are preparing for the examination should be able to score high. तो उसके लिए हमें क्या करना चाहिए minimum? Yes, you will have, it will take some things, some concept will take time to absorb, but eventually, I personally believe that if you're regular in the class, most of your issues would be resolved here, right? So we have to understand India's economy, and thereby the concepts of economy have to be understood. Now let's see the questions of the last 15 years. So when you look at the questions that have been come, on an average 15 to 18 questions they come, on an average. Some year, for example, this year 21 questions were there. In some year we had less questions also, but on an average 15 to 18 questions are there. Now these are core economics questions I'm talking about. Now there are other areas, because if you see the syllabus of UPSC, they have also mentioned social sector initiatives. Now if you add social sector initiatives, the government schemes, the welfare schemes, the other social justice part, social issues part, maybe 4 or 5 more questions can be added. So it's an extension of economics as a subject. So if you add that, I have not added those questions, that number will automatically reach to 25, maybe 22 to 25 questions. So that means this section is very rewarding if you make real effort. Outcome आपको दिखेगा, unlike other subjects where outcome is not visible. Now this is the syllabus of mains, that was a prelim syllabus. Now these are topics that in the mains will be covering. Now in all the major mains topic, they are about India's economy. So first we'll try to understand the concepts of the economy, concepts of the economics as a subject, understand them, also link with current. But this section, most of these topics are going to be covered in the later part of the course that we'll be taking. So if you look at the, I'll be sharing this PPT after the class, don't worry. So Indian economy, issues related to planning, mobilization of resources, growth, development and employment. So this is about Indian economy. Inclusive growth, Indian economy. Government budgeting, Indian economy. Agriculture, this entire part is agriculture till here. This entire part, from major crops till you can say, upstream supply chain management. So this is the entire agriculture. So which means agriculture holds a very important part of the syllabus. In mains mein, you get around 50% questions in mains directly comes from agriculture, and these are pretty static topics. Nothing much has changed here. And there are direct questions that you get from here. Then the land reforms. You can say another topic is there. Then the LPG era, liberalization, industrial policy, infrastructure, energy, ports, roads, airports, railways, and investment models. So this is the mains syllabus, and this syllabus can be high scoring, but again here, a basic thumb rule हमको follow करना है while preparing for the examination in general for UPSC, because there is too much information available in the market. For every topic, you should have 3 pages of notes. For every topic in the syllabus, you should have 3 pages of notes. Every topic. Basic thumb rule. In some topic it can be 5-7 pages, in some topic it can be 1 page also. Because you have 12 subjects that we are going to study for the entire CSC journey. So ज़्यादा पढ़ने से नहीं होगा. You have to study more effectively, and the limited sources has to be covered. This is a common problem we are coming across students who are preparing and who are giving mains examination. Even though they have a lot of knowledge, but they don't know how to write, and there's too much of information overload, and that creates you can say a situation where student का mains खराब हो जाता है. And we don't have the luxury to repeat the exam. So we have to crack this exam in a very limited time frame. This is the main syllabus. Now if you look at the weightage of questions, so on an average, as I mentioned, 15 to 18% questions are coming from the prelim section. in the main section 35 to 40% of the question paper यहाँ से आता है. So in mains we have GS3. Mains we have GS3 and GS3 economic section. Normally 100 to 110 marks you're getting every year. So 100 marks means out of, in 100 marks means out of 250 it is around 40%, right? So we have to cover this area. Mains तो बहुत आसान हो जाता है. Mains becomes very easy. But conceptual part will take some time. But first you'll clear the prelims, तब तो mains आएगा, है ना? Then in prelims the aim is to master concepts. Prelims is about conceptual understanding. Every concept. Most of the questions you get in the prelims is in the area of banking, monetary policy. जो topics आएंगे, I'll also tell the relevance of those topics as the topic will come. So a judicious judgment has to be made if I'm preparing for the examination. Because normally what happens that students who are preparing for exam, they are just randomly studying. Remember, this exam is very objective, very clear. आप बहुत effort को plan करके करोगे and effort can be optimized in a very structured manner. So studying more will not be so important than studying relevant and smartly. So we have to do that. और ये I'm telling you about the experiences which I have seen, and when I was an aspirant, I was also of a similar approach, right? Okay, so then banking, monetary policy, public finance, budget, external sector, schemes, these are the major topics where you'll get maximum questions. In mains, 7-8 questions can be expected, where 100 to 110 marks आपको mains में 250 में मिलेगा, and topics like agriculture, growth, budget, infrastructure, liberalization, and all the topics that you are studying, they have to be conceptual, and contemporary relevance has to be asked. Contemporary relevance means any topic that is asked, why it is being asked right now. Okay? Then in prelims, the weightage normally changes, but more or less topics that you get in the prelims area is from the banking, monetary policy, public finance. These are topics, and they cover actually major part of the syllabus also for prelims. So strong conceptual preparation is required. You have to go into the concept of the topic. And in UPSC prelims, as I mentioned, 15 to 18 questions are coming. Out of that, 10 to 11 questions are conceptual. 4 or 5 questions have current based. So that will require extra effort in the current affair areas. Our objective is to at least touch the 80% of the questions हम कर लें exam में. Then coming to the mains part. Now mains, which means GS paper 3. In GS paper 3 we have 5 subjects. Okay, and this is the weightage. 25 I have not added. So if you look at the economy section, this is the economy section. This year it was 115. So out of 250 marks, on an average 125, 110, 115, 10, 100 like that. So 115 marks question can be attempted from this section. And take this section very seriously, because it's very highly rewarding section, because it is highly applied based. Then further, if I disaggregate this is the question that have come in the last few years in the main section out of 250 marks, GS3. Then in the in the economic section also, in the GS3 section, the questions that have come, majorly you can see infrastructure, industrial policy, budgeting, growth and development, and agriculture. Now you look agriculture. Agriculture, the chunk of the questions are coming from agriculture. Almost half section for mains. Prelims के लिए नहीं. Prelims में you get 1 or 2 questions from agriculture, but mains is all about agriculture. Then the second topic is growth and development. So if you just cover these 2 sections, it will reward you almost 80% of the GS3 economy section. So you have to be very judicious. And here, maybe this section is not very big. You can study this section in matter of 8, 10 days, 12 days, 2 weeks at the max. And this is highly factual also. Yes, you need to have the base of economy in terms of understanding. So this is what I'm telling you, that ये high scoring है if you are able to understand the requirement, decode it. And सबके short notes अच्छे से बने होने चाहिए, conceptual understanding, and contemporary relevance should be there. Current based linkages are very important. So when I'll be covering, I'll be adding a lot of research. अगर हम आज का topic पढ़ेंगे तो till today's research will be added in this. And later on we'll have budget and economic survey, which will do value addition to this section. Okay, so that completes the understanding of economics, how to prepare economics. Now I'll come to one more section. I want you to see the mains paper for prelims. Sorry, mains paper for economy. And if you just look at the question, you'll find that these questions are pretty basic. So this from development, they have asked about human development index, and they've compared the human development index with inequality index. Pretty basic. Then they've asked, this is highly contemporary relevance, the Trump policy. World is moving away from free trade and multilateralism to protectionism and bilateralism. Now this is the current trend from last 5-7 years. So pretty basic. So this question, but again very contemporary, which means your reading has to be very thorough in newspaper. Then explain the factors influencing the decision of farmers on the selection of high value crops in India. So for that you have to understand India's economy, the agriculture, the problems, the cropping pattern, the trends, everything. Holistically you should have a good understanding of, and these are things that you can also answer from your common sense. But again, if you are a UPSC aspirant, your understanding and knowledge and communication has to be very, very specific and to the point. Then scope of supply chain management. Now these are static topics. Directly syllabus उठा के डाल दिया है. You have notes ready on them, you have to write here. Then fiscal health index. This is from public finance. A Niti Aayog report came on that. So whenever we are studying, we are getting reports. We are getting lot of reports are there. Government reports, Niti Aayog reports, developmental report, IMF reports. So when you are covering all those reports, UPSC can ask questions on the issues on those reports, because that report would be on certain Indian issue on itself. If IMF ka report aata hai, they might ask about how Indian states are doing fiscally, what are the challenges of India's economy. So when you are studying, you have to understand that जो भी current में topics आ रहे हैं, those topics will be important, but that mapping with syllabus is very important. Always understand the requirements of exam by mapping the syllabus. I'll be providing you one more detailed list of topics from economy section where questions might be asked. एक आपका detailed syllabus भी मैं आपको provide करूँगा. Okay, so you just have to be regular, and you have to believe in the effort. Now let's talk about sources. Anything outside the source from the class. So in sources we have, as I mentioned, there are two parts of the syllabus. The first is the static part, and second is the dynamic part. In static, there are a lot of handbooks on Indian economy. These are nothing but these are guides. So for me, they are not very good. They will just update some information or fact. But from other sources, there are some good sources. For example, the standard source. So there are two books. One is the Indian Economy by Mishra and Puri. Then Indian Economy by Dutt and Sundaram. Then here we have a lot of handbooks in Indian economy. We have Ramesh Singh, we have Vivek Singh, we have uh, uh, Nitin Singhania, we have Sanjeev Verma. You know, there are many books are there, but these are handbooks. So don't think that they will help you to learn the subject. They'll just summarize maybe in few hundred pages. But these are standard material, but they are bulky. They will take time. So you can follow them only if you have time. Normally my notes, I've covered, my notes will have updation from all the areas. Then in the newspaper part, apart from the dynamic sources, we have budget. So in budget, we have 2 years budget, the budget that is going to come next year. So budget in, let's say 2026-27, the current budget also. Then economic survey. Again, economic survey has to be done selectively. Then you have newspapers. In newspapers, we have The Hindu, and you have explained section of Indian Express. So in Indian Express, you get a very good series called explained section. So the articles on economy from The Hindu or Indian Express, एक ही follow करिए. Then apart from this, we have NCRTs. In NCRT, we have class 11th NCRT, Indian Economic Development, and 12th Macroeconomics. Class 9th and 10th NCRT can also be followed, but again, ज़रूरत नहीं है, because the class 9th and 10th NCRT, mainly it is about Indian economy, that is part of the syllabus. So if you're covering the class, I mean, it's not needed. But if you have bandwidth and time, you can read those chapters, 9th and 10th NCRT. There are 4 chapters in class 9th and there are 5 chapters in class 10th NCRT. But I would advise go with the class 11th NCRT. Here also you can go selectively in this chapter 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. In this chapter 1 to 6. The new NCRT, there are 8 chapters. Out of that, chapter 1 to 6 can be followed. सब नहीं पढ़ना है, जो relevant है वो पढ़ना है. Okay, I think Kanika, you got it right. समझ में आ गया? So this is the sources. Let's say you already have a handbook on India's economy. So don't purchase any new book. If you all, बहुत सारे लोग पास किताब होगी, I think. A lot of people have already purchased it. But if you haven't purchased it, avoid it right now, because we would do that in the class. But if you want some extra reading, then for extra reading, I would rather advise that selectively you can go for standard sources. Okay? So this is about the sources that we have to follow. Keep it simple, keep it basic. Newspaper reading बहुत ज़रूरी हो जाता है, because in economy the questions that you're getting would be on trends. Now when you talk about the main section, अगर आप main section की बात कर रहे हो तो ये सब current based questions हैं. So conceptually you have understanding, but you have to link with current. So this fiscal health index report was given by Niti Aayog. It is about health of various states fiscally, financially state में कैसा चल रहा है, debt कितना है उनका, how well they are performing. So this was a report. This came in January. Then you have irrigation, though it's a part of geography, but yes, this. Then food processing industry, favorite topic of UPSC. Every second year you get a one question on food processing industry. Then semiconductor manufacturing hub. This question kind of, this was very much in news. Okay, so this, I covered this in the yesterday's current affair class also, I think. Semicon 2025 जो हुआ आपका, ठीक है? Okay. So that completes the sources and the trend. Now, as I mentioned in UPSC is concerned about conceptual understanding of the subject. Conceptually clear हो जाएगा, फिर mains वाला part में concept application part would be there. Now let's start. Economics as a subject. So the history of the economics or subject, just quickly 5 minutes we'll discuss the history. So what is economics and why we are studying at first place? What is the subject and why we are studying at first place? Why we are studying at first place? What is your understanding of the subject? Okay. ठीक है. What is this subject? What is the meaning of economics? बताइए. Enlighten me. Online students, what is the meaning of economics? Okay, consumption and supply chain. What is consumption and what is supply chain then? So when did this subject came in understanding? This subject had always been there since the mankind came into picture. Whether the Greeks you talk about, Romans you talk about, or during the Kautilya's phase in India, economics was always there. But the systematic study started more in the 18th century, where the classical economics principles came. So as humans, we all need certain resources to survive. Am I right? Food, non-food. So economics is a discipline which mainly focuses on how to manage the resources that is available in society. So resources are two types, the natural resources, and second is the man-made resources. With the advent of time, we realize that resources are limited, and thereby we have to learn how to optimize them and use them. So in 1800, what was the population of the world? It was 1 billion. In 1800, what was the population of the world? 1 billion. And what is the population of the world right now? 8 billion. So the population has increased from 1 billion 300 years ago, not 300, how much? 225 years. And today it is 8 times. The land is same, everything is same, but population is 8 times. So resources that we have produced, of whatever resources we have, the land resources, the water resources, the mineral resources, or through those resources we create some items, the goods and services, so that we are able to meet our needs. So for example, food needs, non-food needs. So economics is a subject or discipline which studies how to use the scarce resources in society, how to optimize their use, and also in the process of doing that, we produce the resources from the natural resources for our requirement. So economics can also be said to as she mentioned, it is about production, consumption, distribution of goods and services in the society, or for that matter, nation. Now, but the primary assumption क्या है? The resources are limited. Resource है ही नहीं, कम है. And because resources are limited, we have to learn to use them and optimize them effectively. कैसे use करना है? So economics as a discipline हम वही करेंगे. So for example, your income is, your expenditure is unlimited or is it limited? Unlimited? Limited. So since morning till evening, you're taking economic decisions. You're an economic agent right now. When you, let's say you want to come to the coaching and you said, should I take a metro? Let's say metros are not available that particular day, or there's some delay, or there's some problem. You said, should I take an auto? You start calculating. Arey, auto will take 200 rupees, 150 rupees. Budget disturb हो जाएगा. Okay, let's wait. Class में half an hour late जाएंगे, sir को sorry बोल देंगे. Right? Let's go. अभी आज काफी लोग late आए. चेहरा पढ़ लिया मैंने. I've read the faces. I'll see if the pattern repeats or not. Okay. So you have limited resource. One off day you can take an auto, but can it be a pattern where every day you take an auto, Uber, Ola coming to the institute? Is it possible? No. Because you don't have that kind of budget to meet it. So resources are limited, and every time you're taking economic decisions to optimize the resources. You have to make payment to somebody and you have less money. Said, sir, I have less money. Can I pay in installments? Today we have a trend of EMIs. Am I right? We have trend of EMIs. You know, purchase today, pay later. Okay, that kind of new trends have come. So economics is a study of production activities, economic activities, where we produce something. And while producing, we also know that resources are limited. And thereby we have to make a decision based on how to make the best use of the resources available. Always. And economics also believes that you are a very smart person. Though it is not true entirely, but yes, economics believes that you are a very smart person. And you are a rational person who understand how to use the resources to maximize the benefit of that. Though I believe you are very smart, okay? So that is a fundamental assumption economical theories believe. But with time, new theories have come. So the history of the modern economics that we'll study, that started from 1776, a book was written called Wealth of Nations by a very famous classical Scottish economist called Adam Smith. Then we have David Ricardo, we have other thinkers which came later on. Then the new economic theories got added with time because the existing theories were questioned. Till the time we talk about today, today we talk about environmental economics, digital economics, new trend has added. So historically, and I'll be telling you the school of thoughts also, in maybe not today, but in the coming today's, tomorrow's, or day after lectures, that how economic theories, the new theories have been added. So for example, in the beginning of 18th century, economics was all about production and wealth creation. The more you produce, the more resources you have, and more resources you have, you should be able to sell them. And the concept of surplus was also created. 300, 400 years ago, surplus limited tha. There was no surplus. But today we have surplus. We are producing more than what we require. We have food surplus. Not everybody has surplus, but some people have surplus. So if, let's say, these first two row students have surplus, but other students do not have surplus. So there will be divide between these first two row and the others. So there will be inequality in society. So economics will try to study how to address this inequality. ये गरीबी या inequality को कैसे कम किया जाए. Today across world we are reeling under the same challenges. Why society is so unequal and how to address that? How to empower people so that this inequality is reduced. Countries which are relatively richer, we are witnessing the inequality is even wider there. But in the same countries, there are some countries where inequality is less. The Scandinavian nations, even though wealth is there, but inequality is not there. It is less. It is there, but it is less. So economics will try to study these theories, principles, that because everything comes from the basic activity of production. When I produce something, I will sell it, then I'll earn. In the beginning, economics was all about what people do, individual. Then government came into picture. Government said, "Nahi, people are producing, there is a problem." And thereby we have to regulate the way people are producing. Then suddenly we realize that some people have more and others do not have, the rich and poor. So government came, no, let's try to find out. And that is where we saw a lot of challenges. 18th century se leke 100 years ke baad dekha that in society there is so much of inequality. The people who had wealth, rich, or who were the beneficiaries of the economic process, they did very well, but at the cost of others. And that is where government came into picture and the concept of welfare state started. Today we talk about welfare economics, where government not only just talks about creating, but also about distribution, the way it is distributed. So economical theories will look at how we distribute the available resources. जो produce कर रहे हैं वो कैसे equitably distribute हो, and the divide among people as well as region can be addressed. So economics at macro level will try to understand all these problems. Why India is middle income country, why not it is high income country, why Japan is doing well, or why for that matter South Korea is doing well, why we are not doing well. Okay, so these questions have to be answered. Why Why rich is rich? Why poor is poor? Why we are not rich? Or for that matter, why are middle class? But how do you address these challenges? So economics will go into that. Today, economics is about understanding you as an individual, behavior. So individual economics have come into picture. When you go to the market, आप कोई सामान खरीदते हो, and when you purchase an item, your item that you're purchasing is based on multiple factors. Your choice, the kind of money you have, right? But it also depends on your, how will you, आपका behavior क्या है? Now let's say you have 50,000 rupees, you also have 50,000 rupees, you also have 50,000 rupees. How these three people will respond to the same situation? Economics will try to answer that. So today we have behavioral economics, where we're trying to change the behavior of your spending so that that behavior is more helpful to you. Today economics is also about sustainable development. Because suddenly we have found that population to 8 times ho gaya hai in the last 200 years. But pollution is very high, per capita availability of resources is getting limited. So how do we address that? So today the concept of sustainability has come into picture. At the same time, the nature is the fury of nature. You can see, kahin flood aa raha hai, kahin drought aa raha hai, kahin kuch hai. As if nature is telling that you have crossed the limit. Thamba, hold. Your time is coming. Now how do we respond to that? So economics is about that. Today we talk about green economics. Economical accounting of the resources that we are losing in the process. Right? So since 18th century till today, एक idea होना चाहिए. But we are more concerned about what has happened in the last 20 years, 30 years. UPSC would be asking questions more in the contemporary sense, and they would also be like to knowing that how do you see the next 20-25 years of India? Right? So this is what we'll try to understand. Write down, लिखिए. Economics as a discipline got evolved. Economics as a discipline got evolved since 19th century. Since 19th century, comma, from the phase of classical economics, to the current era of digital economics, has to be understood. Digital economics has to be understood. Full stop. It is a systematic study of production, comma, distribution, and consumption of goods and services. And production, distribution, and consumption of goods and services. Full stop. It is also the study of economic activities in the society. The word economics, लिखिए, the word economics has derived from, the word economics has derived from two Greek words, two Greek words, that is, आप ऐसे लिख लीजिएगा economics, ICOS meaning family, or household, and nomos means management. Okay, so ICOS, two Greek words, ICOS, that is, its meaning is family, household, and nomos is management. Right? So how do you manage the resources that is available? Write on further. Next line. Here the basic economic assumption is, here the basic economic assumption is that resources are scarce, next, thus need to optimize them, effectively. तो resources limited हैं, and you have to take economic decisions. Next line लिखिए. As an economic agent, in that bracket write down, as an economic agent, in bracket write down, those who take economic decisions. As an economic agent, in bracket write down, those who take economic decisions. As an economic agent, in bracket, those who take economic decisions. As an economic agent, it is imperative, as an economic agent, it is imperative to rationalize the use of existing scarce resources, and maximize human happiness. Scarce resources and maximize human happiness. Maximize human happiness. तो जब आप resources को use करते हो, you want to use them to the best of the capacity, and you also want to maximize your human happiness. Because resources give you happiness. Do they or do they not? Huh? When you go to a shopping and the budget is defined, but when you come out of the shopping, when you come at home, you open the same item again and you look at 5 times. Okay? Naya liya hai, right? And then you want to show to everybody. You want to show that, see, this I have taken. Acha lag raha hai. Very good, nice. And you're seeking response and approval of others because you want to, you're trying to maximize your happiness because you have taken an economic decision and it has taken a lot of effort, pain. पूरा दुकान छान मारा मैंने. You can't purchase this. I can. I went to 20 shops. Okay, ऐसे लोग, ऐसा होता है आपके साथ? नहीं होता है. नहीं होता है. कितने लोगों के साथ हुआ? How many of you have an experience similar situation? I'm sure almost everybody to a varying degree. अगर आपने उस काम को किया है, if you have done that. But again, there is a limitation here. Resources are scarce. There are showrooms you will not look at because your budget is not allowing. Let's say you want to have food and there's a 5-star hotel. तो smile के देखोगे आज नहीं. Not today. Maybe in future. Exam निकालो, I'll take you. Shangri-La. Dinner मेरी तरफ से. Crack the exam, the mains exam. 7-star hotel में के अच्छे top restaurant में मैं लेके चलूँगा. That is the promises from my side. अभी बात करना शुरू. अभी सांग्रीला पहुँच गया तुम लोग. You are imagining yourself. Come back here, right? चलो. So economics is about doing all that. The resources are scarce. We have to produce, and we produce to meet our needs, our requirement. And when we produce, we also understand that resources are limited. Now let's see at individual level or macro level. So economics के study कई level पे करेंगे. पहला है micro level. As micro level, we are economic agent. We are taking economic decision as a member of household. You are going to purchase something. There again, the concept of economics will apply: demand and supply. You have a budget, based on that you will purchase. You're always counting, rationalizing. Have you seen mothers? They are the best economic managers at home. If you are involved. So whenever my wife wants to go to the market, I tell her, see, I'll not go with you. Because she, goes to the market and I'm like just tagging her along. One shop. I said, what happened? Nothing? You spent 15 minutes? Nothing? No, समझ में नहीं आया. I mean, what नहीं समझ में नहीं आया? Because I'm a person, go to a shop, करा वो घर. So I'm tagging along. But when she explains that this was at that price, at on Flipkart it was available at this price, on Amazon this price, I saved 200 rupees of yours. I said, yes, this is right. And next time, I will not tag along. I'll sit at home. You go and do your stuff. Okay, I'll give you 200 rupees extra, but do that. So we are perfectly doing that. And if you are not doing that, believe me, you have less understanding of economics. जैसे मुझे theory में पता है, but practically, probably if I'm not negotiating and haggling with the shopkeeper, probably my economic application is weak. Theory-wise, I know things. My application is weak. Because we are maximizing our benefit. We are maximizing our benefit. We are acting in self-interest. We are maximizing the reuse of available resources. Money is a resource through which we will buy more resources. Am I right? Or money is just a medium through which you are purchasing the resources. Are you getting my point? So this is how it can be understood. Now, so resources are limited, and thereby we have to maximize the use. That is the assumption. Society में resources कम है, and we have to maximize them. Then in the economics, what we do, we involved in the production activity. We are producing. Economic activity हम produce कर रहे हैं. And when the production happens, that is for the society. So every person, we have people, the household people, they are economic agents. So there are people in that household economic agent जो production भी कर रहे हैं. Let's say we are consuming, but somebody is producing also, and that person is among us. So that production will be based on the understanding of the economy. तो जो business कर रहे हैं, they should have a good understanding of economics of the particular trade they are involved. So this is called microeconomics at individual level, at business level, at unit level. You are doing as you are owner of a company, or your businessman, or your shopkeeper, or your salesman. So you know the economics of the thing that you're doing, and thereby the idea is to maximize the value of the sale, maximize profit, or from individual point of view, if you're a consumer, then you will try to maximize the resource ka use. And also the resources are limited, thereby you will try to maximize benefit. So first assumption, limited resources. Now resources means there are two kinds of resources: the natural resources, the land. Okay, land could be a natural resource. Then the man-made resources, capital, technology, machine. Again, these are not unlimited; these are limited. And we will try to produce and do economic activity to meet the human needs. Abhi human needs to unlimited hai. One set of demand is met, new set of demand is there. The day your income changes, your demands will change. You are as a humans, we are very aspirational. हम बहुत aspire करते हैं future में, हमें ये भी चाहिए, वो भी चाहिए. And thereby, we tend to maximize it. Food, clothing, comfort, luxury. We need an endless item that we require. So we are doing that at individual level, at unit level, at your level, at my level, at company level, at institute level, at Edge IAS level, at a company maybe maybe bigger, maybe TCS level or Tata level. These all are microeconomics. But then we tend to study economy as a whole. Economy को पूरी economy को study करते हैं. In UPSC, we have to study the economy as a whole. We are not concerned about individual micro decisions taken by individual firm and you and me. They are concerned about economy as a whole. So if I say, what are the problems of India's economy? What you will tell me? Okay. So problems of Indian economy? Poverty. Any other problem? Okay, so more focus on service sector. That means probably focus has to be made more in some other sectors which are not. Resources ka equitable distribution karna, because we have huge inequality in society. Am I right? What are the other problems of India's economy? Unemployment. Unemployment is a challenge. Government to nahi kari, government kari nahi sab acha hai. But the problem is the quality of job that India have, that is a problem. Secure jobs are a problem. We have hardly, maybe less than 10% in India have jobs which are secure. You all are aspiring, आप सभी लोग कुछ ना कुछ कर सकते हो, but you are looking for a secure job. A job which will give you income security, social security, emotional security, and will try to address uncertainty in your life. Am I right? Probably that kind of certainty is not there in private job or individual business also. But then there are a set of people who believe, no. We have a different thought process. We want to do things differently. So economics will, so as a macroeconomics, we have to understand unemployment, the quality of employment is a problem. Even if the unemployment is not a problem, the quality of employment is a problem in India. The average income is less in India. Then we have one more problem, regional disparity. So Bihar has a per capita income of 50,000 and we have Delhi has a per capita income of 5 lakh. 10 times difference is there. So people are flogging from Bihar to Delhi to get a job. This is another problem, inequality, disparity. Then we have other problem. In India, we have half of the population who are in still agriculture. Now this is a symptom of an underdeveloped economy. This is a symptom of an underdeveloped economy. From economic theories, if your economy, majority people are in agriculture and a chunk of income is coming from there, you are underdeveloped. Because through industrialization, the wealth creation happened and inequality came down, or for that matter, development happened. Okay, so these are the challenges. So we have to, economic theories क्या करेंगी? दोनों को match करेंगी. They will try to help you prioritize. As individual level, we are taking decisions all the time. But let's talk about macro level. Government budget is limited. Government का tax collection defined है. So government cannot take any decision. Government will take decision based on the finances that is available with them. And thereby, again, they will try to maximize welfare of the population. At individual level, we are very self-centric. We are driven by self. The decisions are based on self-interest. But at macro level, decisions are based on welfare, equity. It is based on a theory of utilitarian. John Stuart Mill, he talked about utility theories. We have to make sure that everybody benefits in society. And thereby, the decisions of government should not look at individual, but society as a whole, holistically. So we have to find a way in which people should move from agriculture and they get relatively better jobs in industry and services. A country like Germany will have a different approach. They have a lot of technology, a lot of machines, they have less people. So for them, a technology intensive, capital intensive growth will be suiting for them. But country like India, where huge labor, surplus labor is there, we need a labor intensive growth model. A model which creates jobs. A model which creates sustainable jobs. A model which creates sustainable inclusive approach where jobs are secure also. A model which also tries to harmonize that process by environmental degradation problems that we are facing. Mushkil hai. It is difficult. Development is a very important imperative in society because as humans, that is basic necessity, that is basic human right. आपको डेवलप करना है, आपको डेवलपमेंट के हिसाब से जो रिसोर्सेज देना, दैट इज द बेसिक ह्यूमन राइट ऑफ द वेलफेयर स्टेट. How government, through its economic understanding of the economy as a whole, will try to address that. So macroeconomics that we are going to study in UPSC will be addressing the problems in Indian economy, the challenges, the unemployment, the inequality, the environmental degradation, how to improve the quality of life. If India is 4 trillion economy today, and it is believed that by Niti Aayog's report, by 2047, we are expecting that India should become a Vikshit Bharat of 35 trillion economy, then in next 20 years, or 23 years, 24 years, when India will become Vikshit Bharat, what will be your contribution? What will be your share? Will it be same as today in terms of proportion, or will it be better? Kya wo better hoga? Inequality would be lesser. That is what our expectation should be. So growth model should be there, which helps individual to grow. It addresses disparity between rich and poor. It addresses regional disparity. If India has to grow, Bihar and UP has to grow. Gujarat, Maharashtra are already growing. I'm not saying that they should not grow. They should also grow better. But if India has to grow, Vikshit Bharat has to grow, it has to come from North India. That government knows. And thereby, because majority population lives here, inequality is very wide here, per capita land availability is very less there. So it is a challenge. So our development narrative should be based on Indian requirement. Indian model of development. Are you getting my point? So as a student of economics, you should have the understanding of these things. You should know, okay, hमें ये करना है. You should understand the problems of India holistically. So that is what we are going to study in the next 100 hours, 110 hours in the macroeconomics part. Okay? India has limited resources but huge population. Okay? And population demands to meet. So हमें क्या करना है? How do we address that? The role of the government will come here. Then similarly, all the time you're taking economic decisions. आप economic decisions ले रहे हो. The same will apply at micro level, at macro level. So what is the way forward? आप आगे क्या? How? What kind of expectation you have from your life? Let's say you have X income. So every year you want your income should increase. आप चाहते हो हर साल आपकी income बढ़े या कम हो? So that is one primary approach. But let's say income नहीं बढ़ रही है, तो क्या करोगे? You will try to make the best use of the resources available. Am I right? So as an economic decision makers, agent, we have to take economic decisions. Because there is scarcity in society. Scarcity को 3 level पे address करेंगे. Let's understand at macro level. At macro level, how do you address scarcity? By higher economic growth. India grew at 7.8% in the last quarter, which means if India's economy was 100 last year, it is 108 today. So 8% extra resources, more resources available at country level. It will create more jobs, opportunities. तो हमारा GDP जो था, it has increased from whatever, today it is 47 lakh crore in real terms, 89 lakh crore in the nominal terms. तो एक quarter की बात कर रहे हो, 1 quarter. Or if you do the numbers, India's GDP in totality is around 320, 330 lakh crore. 330 lakh crore. So 330 lakh crore, 35 lakh crore, if that is the India's GDP, we have to make sure that it grows every year. And if it is growing, population utna nahi grow karega. Population is growing at probably less than 1%. But GDP is growing by 8%, which means we are creating, per capita wise, we are creating more resources every year. Am I right? And that resource, अब हमें ये करना है, that resource are distributed in a better way. And now that formula has to be devised. So today you are empowered. Tomorrow you'll get a job. So you are more productive. That is one way. Today you are a farmer. Your land becomes more productive. You are empowered. You are a businessman. You get better opportunity. Your income goes up. You are empowered. And thereby, where you are empowered, you have more freedom and choices. So first way of dealing the scarcity is to address, make sure growth ho. Growth at quantity levels. The second, the growth has to be inclusive. It has to be redistributed. So growth with distribution. So growth नहीं होना चाहिए. Growth should come with So growth should be inclusive. But growth should be sustainable also. What is the meaning of sustainable growth? The growth should be sustained for the coming years and decades and centuries. ऐसा नहीं growth आज आया कल नहीं आया. Growth has to be sustained. So it should be inclusive and sustainable, both. Then the resource that we have, the land resource, the water resource, it has to be optimized again because these are again scarce. So आप क्या करोगे scarcity को? आपको you will make sure the resources are used in a better manner. And third is, which is not a choice. Which is not a choice. Last में ये भी करना पड़ता है कई बार को. Many times you have to do this as well. But the idea is to make sure the resources are used in a very effective manner. आपके पास जो भी resource है, resource can be items, food, non-food item, or money that you have through which you can purchase resource. आप सोचो ना, आप हमेशा decision ले रहे हो. Are you taking decisions all the time when you are traveling, moving around? Are you not? So you are optimizing these resources. The same is true with family. There are some people in India जिनको उसका इतना issue नहीं है. There are some people rich who have more freedom, economic freedom. अब वो generational wealth है या फिर stroke of luck है, or maybe something you're an entrepreneur who have generated a lot of wealth, वो भी संभव है. But that number is minuscule. Probably 0.5% of India. 0.1% of India, maybe 1% of India. Am I right? But 99% लोग तो optimize कर रहे हैं all the time, calculating, optimizing all the time. But even business people who have money and resource, they're also optimizing. तभी वो वहाँ पहुँचे. That's why they have reached there. वो optimize करके, plan करके पहुँचे, तभी वहाँ पहुँचे हैं. As a country, what is the difference between a developed and developing country or underdeveloped country? As per definition of World Bank, country earning less than $1,000 is an underdeveloped country. Country earning them more than $1,000 up to $5,000 is a middle income country. Then from 5,000 till 10,000 upper middle income country. More than 10,000, 12,000, $13,000, you are a developed country, rich country. So that is they have categorized. So what is the difference between developing country, developed country, and underdeveloped country? The resources per capita that is available. So per capita income in India is $3,000. In America it is $70,000. So for them they are 20 times or 23 times more rich than an average Indian. Am I right? So that is how it can be understood. You can make this diagram. Okay. So India has how much population? We have a very good example would be we have 17% of the world population and we have 2.4% of the land. So per capita land availability is less in comparison to many other country. Am I right? Okay. ठीक है, समझ में आ रहा है जो मैं समझा रहा हूँ? Do I make sense? Do I make sense? How many of you are able to understand what I discussed last 1 hour? Okay, thank you very much. And if you have any problem, reach out to me. Okay, so there are 3 branches of economics. Microeconomics, macroeconomics. Now we'll write one line definition in all of these, and we have mesoeconomics. So microeconomics, economics, study of economic units. For example, individual, firms. Then you have mesoeconomics, study of sectors of the economy. Sectors of the economy. Okay, for example, we study about, let's say, automobile sector. Right? Or we study of economy as a whole. Study of economy as a whole. Okay, so for example, we talk about national income. We talk about inflation. We talk about unemployment. We talk about poverty. So this is the three branches of economics. Okay? In UPSC CSC, we are concerned about macroeconomics. This has, for example, in NCERT class 11th, class 11th or 12th, I think 12th, right? We have book on macroeconomics also, but that is not our requirement. There is some small concept of maybe 3-4 concepts are there that I'll be covering. So don't have to study separately. Some teachers teach, but I don't think so that is needed. मैंने कहा ना ज़्यादा नहीं कम पढ़ना है. I should not say, but there are people, they have 800 pages note, 900 pages notes. I will not name them specifically, but again, they want to teach you everything. I'm not questioning the intent of those people, but that is not the requirement of the examination. There are PDF I saw during mains time. I came across notes which are 500 pages only for the mains exam, GS3. we write 80 pages, 100 pages notes, and still you will write better answer than those people who have 500 pages. So आपको कम पढ़ना है, effective पढ़ना है, and you have to. Mains answer writing is about analytical approach. It is not only about just putting a lot of information and fact. I have seen people who write less but effective, they get better marks. I have seen people who write a lot of points but answer is mechanical, they get less marks. Okay? So you should have the thought process that has to be developed. Okay. So these are three branches of economics. Write down in UPSC CSC, the focus would be on macroeconomics. Right? In UPSC CSC, the focus would be on macroeconomics. In UPSC CSC, the focus would be on macroeconomics. In fact, आप अच्छे से नोट्स बना लीजिए. CAPF, CDS, economic, even optional, in the paper 2 of optional, majority part, a lot of part are covered in the class. If you have economics as an optional, okay. Then the state services, only factual information have to be updated from the states. So if you are doing hard work here, automatically a lot of your things, just 15 days, 20 days, extra effort, maybe extra effort for a specific examination has to be made. ये आपको ध्यान रखना है. तो इसलिए this, because we'll focus more on the concept application and how to use and crack the prelims and mains examination. But the same logic can be applied in any examination. In fact, what I have witnessed in the last few years, 2-3 years, the state service examination of all the states, they are aligning towards UPSC requirement. They are creating analytical questions. The factual questions trend has come down. So the people who are preparing for those competition specifically, unko dikkat hogi. People who are preparing only for state services, because factual approach, that will not work. Right? So if you are studying properly, don't just think that I'm preparing. You are going for any other examination. Let's say you're going for PG examination, a NET JRF, in your subject of course, you'll find very comfortable position. और मैं अपने students के experience से बता रहा हूँ. They come to me and tell, sir, I gave that exam, I was very comfortable. The class notes were quite effective, and newspaper reading was making sure that everything was covered. So ये जो हम effort कर रहे हैं, ये effort ऐसा नहीं सिर्फ हम we are preparing for UPSC CSC in particular, but the process is very holistic. Okay, coming to now, what is the difference between economy versus economics? Okay, economy versus economics. So economics is theory, discipline, and economy is about application of theory and discipline. And the idea is to understand and solve the problems of the economy. For example, Indian economy. So economics, theory, principle, methods, formulas. Economy, understanding that. So across the world, everybody is studying economics, but we are going to understand India's economy. Abhi hum German economy, French economy, Greece economy will not study. But we study economics, and will directly apply to the Indian economy. Okay, so let's say, what are the problems of Indian economy? Let's take an example. India faces a problem of India faces a structural problem of backward agriculture. So it's a structural problem. I'm just giving an example. तो क्या करना चाहिए? As a student of economics, just tell me, how do we make sure that Indian agriculture does well? So I'll give you data. Half of India's population, 43% of India's population, they are employed in agriculture. 43% of India's population is employed in agriculture, and they are generating just 16% of the output, 16-17%. यानी पूरे इंडिया का जो इनकम है, 43% people are generating 16% of India's income. अगर थोड़ा सा conservative, I mean, if you almost half of India's population is generating 15% of India's income. So it's a structural problem. That means if you go in agriculture, the chances of you getting high income is less, unless until you have some advantage. अब ये structural problem है. The problem in the structure of the agriculture, farmer का income नहीं बढ़ रहा है. The reason is land is small. Investment in land has not been made. Facilities are not there. Market connectivity is not there. If market are connected, probably it is only in few areas. Farmer is not getting the right price of the produce. Farmer is dependent on multiple factors which are external. Monsoon problem, drought problem, flood problem. Farmers are dependent on the vagaries of the market. आपको लगता है आपका life uncertain है? Become a farmer. You'll understand that. Your life will become even more uncertain. You can't control the outcome. But then what is the solution? We are talking about 43% of India's workforce or labor force. इतने लोग हैं. Let's talk about 43% of India's population directly, indirectly dependent on the agriculture. Half of the population of India, and that number is 70 crore. 70 crore people are generating just 15 or 16% of India's income. यानी वहां पर एग्रो जो एक्चुअल प्रोडक्टिविटी है वो बहुत कम है. There is a distress there. And what government is doing? As a student of economics, what you will suggest? आप क्या suggest करोगे? Tell me by your own logic what you will do. Okay, land reforms कर सकते हैं. Through technology we can boost production. Okay. Cash crops कर सकते हैं. Okay, credit support कर सकते हैं. What else? Intermediary को हटा दें so that farmer gets the right price to the produce. Okay. What else? और क्या कर सकते हैं? Modern farming. अच्छा, okay, modern farming कर सकते हैं. और subsidy should be given to the needy people. Okay. Okay, promote local production. Okay. और farmer की income और कैसे बढ़ सकती है? How do we add more income of the farmers? Move to allied sectors, poultry, dairy, alternative income create कर सकते हैं. Am I right? Collective farming can be done. Okay. Investment in agriculture, in the soil, in the land degradation, in the irrigation facilities, right? Then land reform, as he mentioned, how do we collectivize it? Land bank बनाएं, land pool करें, okay? Land leasing agreement करें, land का documentation अच्छे से करें, okay? Digitalization, modernization कर सकते हैं. So these things will at least solve some problem. But fundamentally, we have to create jobs. We have to move people from agriculture to industry and services. That is a normal trajectory all the countries in the world have adopted. एक traditional approach यही है that you have to find more jobs because agriculture is saturated in terms of people who are employed there. So only way could be that you have to create opportunities in the industry and service sector, and you have to move those people from agriculture to industry and services. But the job creation has to be there. तभी तो move करेंगे. तभी तो आप move करोगे. So we have to create jobs in these sectors, and at the same time we have to skill those people so that they are available for the upcoming industries. Am I right? So ये structural problem है. इसका structure ही बदलना पड़ेगा. And for that government has to invest, reform, adapt. You gave a lot of answers: land reform, technology, input, credit support. All those things are part of the solutions of the structural problem. So we have to change the way agriculture is being done. अच्छा, land को तो बड़ा नहीं कर सकते हैं. Land is a limited resource. You can't increase it. But availability of land per capita can also not be changed because population eventually बढ़ रही है. After 100 years ये problem नहीं होगी. Because in 2100 world population कम हो जाएगा. India का population भी कम हो जाएगा. The population might come less than 100 crore. Do you know that? By next 80 years, 75 years, the population will come down. तो लैंड रहेगा, तो उस वक्त सोचेंगे, लैंड के बारे में सोचेंगे. हम रहेंगे ही नहीं, राइट? चलो, सो इकोनॉमिक्स इज अबाउट थ्योरीज एंड वी हैव टू अप्लाई इट. तो आपको एप्लीकेशन पे ध्यान देना. प्रॉब्लम क्या है, सोल्यूशन क्या है? यूपीएससी इज मोर अबाउट सोल्यूशन. अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट क्यों है इंडिया में? बिकॉज वी आर नॉट क्रिएटिंग गुड जॉब्स, इनफ जॉब्स. एंड इफ यू आर क्रिएटिंग दोज आर लेस सिक्योर जॉब्स. Now how do you create more jobs? By promoting industry which can create jobs. Make in India for Indians. Make in India for outside Indians. That is the way we have to make for us. Let's focus on self-reliance. India can become sufficient, not self-sufficient, but it's at least relatively self-reliant. हमको बाहर पे dependency कम कर देना है. ऐसा नहीं है. we are open to the idea of interacting with the world economies, but we also want to develop our capacity, and for that you have to identify the process. देयर इज लॉट ऑफ चेंजेस आर हैपनिंग, हमको उसको हिसाब से अपने आप को अडेप्ट करना होगा. यू आर प्रिपेयरिंग टुडे, यू हैव टू अपस्किल योरसेल्फ फॉर द न्यू वेज ऑफ प्रिपेयरिंग so that you can crack the exam. As a teacher, whenever I'm teaching, I'm thinking that what new I can do in the class. How can I make my interaction better? How can I make my communication simpler for a common person to understand? How can I use technology so that learning is more effective? What examples I can use so that you understand economics in a better way? The pedagogy can be improved. अब ये थोड़ी आए प्रोफेसर की तरह पढ़ाया, समझ में आया नहीं आया चलेगा. No. We have to generate curiosity in the subject, ताकि आपको यहाँ नींद ना आए. कुछ लोग को आ रही है, सोए नहीं है, not because आगे देखो. Okay, so that is the concept of economy versus economics. चलिए. Now, so we are producing certain what goods. Economics is about study of economic activity, and what is the outcome of the activity? इसका outcome क्या होता है? Outcome is of certain goods, am I right? Right? अभी हम मान रहे हैं goods means services भी हो जाएगा इसमें. Product की output is something, either goods or services. So goods. So this is the outcome of the economic activity. Now in goods, broadly we have two kind of goods. The consumer goods and we have the capital goods. ठीक है? तो consumer goods can again be of two types. The durable goods, okay, and non-durable goods. Consumer goods used for consumption. Capital goods used in making of consumer goods. ठीक है? So durable goods, less than 3 years. What is durable? Anything which is less than 3 years. Example, television, AC. These are durable goods. Non-durable, more than 3 years, more than 3 years. This is less than 3 years. Okay, for example, foods, clothes. But I have clothes which are 10 years old also. How many of you have clothes which are 10 years old? अच्छा. I mean, तुम लोग तो बच्चे रहोगे, right? So I purchased from my first salary when I got in 2006. I purchased a jacket. मेरी सैलरी का एक substantial portion उस जैकेट में चला गया था. It was a Nike jacket. So I still hold that jacket. और ठंड में पहनता हूँ. तो my wife whenever looks at, someday I'll burn this jacket. I said नहीं, इसमें emotional attachment है. वो अच्छा है अभी भी, right? So normally ऐसा नहीं होता है. Clothes, food, these are non-durable goods. They have a shorter life. But consumer goods are, durable goods are जिसकी durability है, life है, and that is more than 3 years. So that is how it can be understood. Zero to 3 years. Now what are capital goods? More than 3 years. अच्छा एक सेकंड ना. अभी ठीक है? Okay, चलो. So consumer goods more than 3 years and non-durable goods are, consumer goods durable are more than 3 years, and this is 0 to 3 years. Now, what are capital goods? Capital goods are goods which are used in making consumer goods. So for example, you have heavy machinery. एक heavy machine है. That machine is used in making the consumer good. Right on? One line definition in this. Capital goods are ये बना लिया आपने? Okay. Everybody has made it? Okay. Capital goods are used in the production of consumer goods. Are used in the production of consumer goods. It has three features. Used in the production of consumer goods, it has three features. First, point number one, used as an input. Used as an input in making consumer goods. Used as an input in making consumer goods. Used as an input in making consumer goods. Point number two, but they are not consumed or transformed in the process. But they are not consumed or transformed in the process. But they are not consumed or transformed in the process. Point number two, but they are not consumed or transformed in the process. Point number three, they are durable output. They are durable output. They are durable output of a man-made process. They are durable output of a man-made process. Of a man-made process. Man-made process. Full stop. नेक्स्ट लाइन, कंज्यूमर गुड्स के बारे में एक लाइन लिख लीजिए. कंज्यूमर गुड्स आर यूज्ड बाय अल्टीमेट कंज्यूमर. कंज्यूमर गुड्स आर यूज्ड बाय अल्टीमेट कंज्यूमर्स. कंज्यूमर गुड्स आर यूज्ड बाय अल्टीमेट कंज्यूमर्स. कंज्यूमर गुड्स आर यूज्ड बाय अल्टीमेट कंज्यूमर्स फॉर कंजम्पशन पर्पस. Consumer goods are used by ultimate consumers for consumption purpose. ठीक है? So this is the concept of goods. Two types of goods, consumer goods and the capital goods. ठीक है? Now we'll talk about the nature of good, कि उसका use कैसे होता है. यहाँ तक clear है? Confusion आएगा अभी, but यहाँ तक clear है, right? Everybody? चलो. Now let's talk about nature of goods. Nature of goods. In the nature of goods, we have two types of goods. One is called the final goods, and second is the intermediate goods. Intermediate goods. So final goods are used for consumption. Okay? और consumption goods के लिए, और for capital goods as inputs. ठीक है? तो capital goods are also final goods, but they are used as inputs. But capital goods are not consumed. Consumer goods consume हो जाता है process में. Intermediate goods are those goods which are, they are used as input for production of final goods. Used as input for the production of final good. तो final good बनाने में these are input. For example, if you are making a car, you need a maybe rolling sheet, iron sheet. From that you can make a chassis or body. If you are making bread, you need flour, atta. If you are making some sweet, द शुगर कैन बी अ इंटरमीडिएट गुड. फाइनल आइटम आपका स्वीट्स हो सकता है. ठीक है, बट डिपेंड करता है कि भी आप कैसे यूज कर रहे हो. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, इफ यू हैविंग शुगर डायरेक्टली, आप चीनी डायरेक्टली खा रहे हो तो फाइनल गुड हो गया. आपने अगर शुगर डायरेक्टली चीनी खरीदा और खा लिया, बचपन में चीनी खाया है बहुत डायरेक्टली, यू हैड ना शुगर डायरेक्टली, ओके, द वाइट शुगर. और फिर ब्राउन शुगर भी एक आता है, ब्राउन शुगर भी खाया है. अच्छा चलो, एक और ब्राउन शुगर आता है. ओके ओके, सो it is the nature of good how you are using it. For example, if I am using a car, that is a consumer good. But मैंने अपना या फिर मैंने ओला या उबर का ऐप डाउनलोड किया and I become a driver, and now suddenly for 2 hours my car is used for providing cab services. Now my car will change from a consumer good to a capital good. Are you getting my point? Because the capital goods are basically used for production of the consumer good. Now here the goods is basically services. We are producing transport services. So car is a machine which is helping me to produce the transport services. तो depend करता है आप कैसे यूज कर रहे हो. If I am using for self consumption, अभी चाय बनाया मैंने, चाय बनाया, अब चाय बनाने में मैंने खुद पी लिया, तो चाय टी इज अ आपने कंज्यूम कर लिया. बट उसमें फाइनल गुड क्या है? व्हाट इज द फाइनल गुड इन व्हेन आई एम कंज्यूमिंग अ टी व्हेन आई मेड माई सेल्फ? टी लीव्स कैन बी अ फाइनल गुड, शुगर कैन बी फाइनल गुड, मिल्क कैन बी अ फाइनल गुड. बट लेट्स से मैंने चाय बनाया एंड आई सोल्ड इट टू यू, देन फाइनल गुड इज टी. नहीं, कैपिटल कहां से आ गया? आई एम गिविंग एग्जाम्पल ऑफ द हाउ द गुड्स आर यूज एज कंज्यूमर एंड मीन इंटरमीडिएट. सो इंटरमीडिएट गुड क्या हो गया? विच आर यूज एज इनपुट फॉर मेकिंग द. अच्छा, उसमें अगर हम उसकी बात करते हैं कैपिटल गुड, तो कैपिटल गुड्स आर यूज एज इनपुट ऑल्सो बट दे आर फाइनल गुड्स. नॉर्मली जो आपका जो कंज्यूमर गुड्स जो होते हैं जिससे हम कुछ बना रहे हैं तो वो इंटरमीडिएट होते हैं. कंफ्यूजन हो रहा है? कुछ क्वेश्चन लगाएंगे तो हो जाएगा. राइट डाउन वन लाइन. कैपिटल गुड्स आर फाइनल गुड्स. Capital goods are final goods. Capital goods are final goods. Final goods and are durable in nature. And are durable in nature. Capital goods are final goods and are durable in nature, but are used as input. But are used as input. तो कैपिटल गुड्स फाइनल गुड्स हैं और इनपुट भी कर रहे हैं, मतलब दे हैव अ नेचर ऑफ इंटरमीडिएट. कैपिटल गुड जो है वो इनपुट की तरह यूज हो रहे हैं, बट दे आर नॉट कंज्यूम्ड इन द प्रोसेस बिकॉज सेम कैपिटल गुड विल बी यूज अगेन फॉर द फ्यूचर. आपने एक मशीन से कुछ बनाया, फिर से आप उसको यूज, यू आर रीयूजिंग इट टिल द टाइम दैट कैपिटल गुड इज खत्म हो जाता है, वियर एंड टेयर हो जाता है, यू हैव टू रिप्लेस इट. आर यू गेटिंग माई पॉइंट? सो दैट इज द कॉन्सेप्ट. सो कैपिटल गुड्स आर यूज्ड इवन दो दे आर नॉट, दे आर यूज्ड एज इनपुट. तो यहां पे कंफ्यूजन कई बार आपको हो जाएगा. दे माइट आस्क दैट कैपिटल गुड्स आर इंटरमीडिएट गुड. नो, दे आर फाइनल गुड्स. तो आपको नेचर ऑफ गुड देखना होगा, वेयर इट इज बीइंग यूज्ड. दिस क्वेश्चन यू हैव टू आस्क योरसेल्फ. अगर आपने अपने टी अपने कंजम्पशन के लिए यूज कर रहे हो तो टी, लीव्स, मिल्क, शुगर ऑल आर फाइनल गुड. बट व्हेन यू आर सेलिंग देन टी इटसेल्फ इज द फाइनल गुड. आई गेटिंग माई पॉइंट? तो आपको ये देखना होगा. हाँ, सॉरी, बिकॉज इट इज आउटसाइड द एक्टिव इकोनॉमिक प्रोसेस. जो इकोनॉमिक प्रोसेस है, इकोनॉमिक एक्टिविटी का, उससे वो बाहर निकल चुका है. मोमेंट इट इज कंज्यूम्ड इट इज आउटसाइड, टिल द टाइम इट इज सोल्ड इट इज पार्ट ऑफ द इकोनॉमिक प्रोसेस. क्लियर हुआ? या चलिए, नाउ विल टॉक अबाउट फैक्टर्स ऑफ प्रोडक्शन. तो पहला तो हमने देखा इकोनॉमी इज अबाउट इकोनॉमिक एक्टिविटी, और इकोनॉमिक एक्टिविटी में क्या प्रोड्यूस कर रहे हैं? गुड्स. नाउ गुड्स में सर्विसेज भी हो सकता है, बट आई एम टेकिंग गुड्स as a common item. Now there are certain items which are used in production. So there are certain inputs of production. So what are the inputs of production? These are called as factors of production. ठीक है. The first factor of production is land. Land as a natural resource. Natural resource. Then you have labor. Now labor के कई types हैं. So we have many types of labors. Okay, so labor can be, one type can be skilled, unskilled, skilled or manual. So they can be blue collared. Okay, then white collared. White collared. Then pink collared. Then gold collared. So blue collared is manual work. White collared is skilled. Okay, so for example, doctor, engineer, consultant. ठीक है. Pink collared, woman receptionist. Gold collared, CEO of a firm, IAS officers, yeah, bureaucrats. Okay, so these can be. So first is land, second is labor. अब labor कई तरह के हो सकते हैं. Normally labor is somebody who provides their skill in the production process. Now that can be manual or they can be skilled as well. आप imagine करो कोई production हो रहा है. So for example, in here also we have, let's say we are a coaching institute, we are running a coaching, so we have the most skilled people are the teachers, am I right? Then you have relatively less skilled people, or maybe relatively, okay, somebody is the support staff, then there are somebody manual support they are giving, am I right? So we have people in different categories. But everybody is involved in providing services that we are giving, to you people. Am I right? So land, then labor. Should I move forward? हो गया? Then third comes the capital and then entrepreneur. ठीक है? So what is capital? What do you mean by capital? What do you mean by capital? Money, okay. Okay. Machine, okay. Building, machine, okay. These are capital. They are also involved in the production process. So capital is something that helps in the, or for example, we have one machine, so production is happening. There are two machines, production will be better. So capitals are nothing but these are input in terms of, the third input is capital. And in capital normally we talk about building, machine, equipment. Okay. Now here we have many types of capital. Okay. So for example, we have a concept called physical capital. Physical capital. Right? Now, what does capital do? It increases the productivity. More capital, more productivity. Productivity means more output. Utpadan. Now, physical capital, again, the same thing. Machine. These are tangibles, which can be. So, it is tangible in nature. What is tangible? Which can be felt, which can be touched. That is physical capital. Then, apart from physical capital, we can have financial capital. Am I right? Financial capital में money. Financial capital. Example, money. Then third, we have human capital. ये विजिबल है पीछे? Human capital. No, it's not visible. Online students. Yeah. So what is human capital? So as physical capital, we are just a physical capital is machine. वैसे we are considering you as a capital, as humans. So if you are more skilled, more educated, more healthy, so you act like a physical capital. आप physical capital की तरह हो जाते हो. One smart person can turn around the company. Am I right? And one person who is not working hard enough or not skilled enough will not run the company. So human resource, human skill, human capital means we are looking from the productivity point of view. So you are a skilled educated. So that is the concept of human capital. So skilling, education, health. So that is a part of human capital. Okay? From economics point of view, I'm just coming. Economics point of view. Only physical capital is covered. जब आप बुक से पढ़ोगे तो capital means machinery, buildings. Physical capital, physical goods are considered. Physical goods मान लेते हैं. So these are the capital. Then we have more capital. For example, intellectual capital, civic capital, social capital. Now these are the terms also that we need to understand. But broadly, from the production point of view, physical capital को ही हम count करते हैं. Then we have a concept called working capital. Working capital जो consume हो जाता है. Money is a working capital. When you're using money, it is getting consumed. आपने machine चला रहे हो, machine में petrol डाला, तो petrol is a working capital. You put a raw material that is consumed. That is a working capital. आप कहोगे सर वो तो input है, raw material है. But that is being consumed in the process. उससे आपने एक final output बना दिया. Okay, write down. Human capital लिख दिया, write down. Should I move forward? Then you have social capital. Now what do you mean by social capital? What do you mean by social capital? Network, sense of togetherness. So production is a social activity? Yes. Production is a social activity. People come together and produce something. Now for example, as an institute, we are providing you services in terms of education. There is a cooperation among all the team members. There is a cooperation. अब ये नहीं मेरा mood कहीं और है, उनका mood है, we are not just looking at each other. We are just doing our work. No, that is not how it will work. In a factory, all people come together. There is a mutual harmony, sense of togetherness. Bonding is there, and then people will work together. Some bonding would be there. Yes, many a times that bonding जब नहीं होता है. That is why we have concept of human resources. We have a concept of team building. People come together because production is not only a physical activity or economic activity, it's also a social activity. So social activity, the social capital has to be built. So network of people, sense of togetherness, आपस में जो harmony होता है. Then we have a concept of civic capital or intellectual capital. What is the meaning of intellectual capital? What is the meaning of intellectual capital? So many a times you are using patents, you are creating patents, you create copyrights. Okay, so these are intellectual. Let's say you have a patent only you can use. It's a capital. It will increase your productivity. You have a copyright only you can. You have a formula only you can use it. That is intellectual capital. अभी KFC का formula मैं use नहीं कर सकता हूँ. I can't use the formula of Coke. अब मैंने Coke का formula पर लेके मैंने Coke बनाना शुरू कर दिया. Reebok का Reebok बना दिया. I mean, I can make Reebok, but I cannot make Reebok. Are you getting my point? I can have some other version of Reebok, but not exactly Reebok. There is a trademark, copyright. It's their intellectual capital. उनको उसका लाइसेंस मिला है. They have paid for that. अभी आपने कुछ नया इनोवेट किया और मैंने उसको कॉपी कर लिया. You innovate something और मैंने कॉपी कर लिया. And I am doing better than you. Possible है? Is it possible? Possible है. The credit goes to you, but beneficiary is me. And that is why we have a concept of protecting the intellectual capital. Copyright, patent, trademark. ठीक है ना? तो वो आप ही यूज कर सकते हो. तो वो भी आपका एक तरह से कैपिटल है. Are you getting my point? Then you have civic capital. What do you mean as civic capital? Now again, all these are not directly involved in production, but yes, because as I mentioned from economics point of view, हम सिर्फ physical capital की बात कर रहे हैं, or maybe human capital. Production में social capital को, it's a feel, it's a coming together, but you can't measure the outcome. Machine का क्या दो ना? There's one machine output is 10 item, two machine output is 20 item. अभी क्या नहीं social capital है, तो वो measure करना मुश्किल है. But machine output is clear. You can count the numbers, you can quantify the numbers, because production is about output. Economic activity is about output. कितना produce किया है, number बताओ. Okay? So civic capital is, what is civic capital? Citizens following rule of law. So you are educated, you are mature, you are human capital, and you are following rule also. Somewhere directly, indirectly, you are aiding the economic activity, directly, indirectly. What if we are not civic? We are barbarian. We are not civic enough. Economy चल पाएगी क्या? Directly you can't measure it. Let's say you're not following rule. Not everybody is not following rule. हर जगह traffic jam हो रखा है. You can't reach the office. You can't reach your factory. The factory cannot work. Am I right? So in that situation, will it work? No. Society में rules बने हुए हैं, and you are following rules. So this is also like capital. That is why हम कहते हैं inculcate the civic sense, common citizenship consciousness. Are you conscious or not? Are you a citizen or not? Do you have common citizenship consciousness towards the rules, duties or not? That is a question. That is what we try to do. We inculcate. School में पढ़ाते हैं. School में किया ना आपको? School, family. The first teacher is mother, father. Then you go to school. You learn everything. फिर back to square one आ जाते हो फिर. Right? So somewhere directly, indirectly, these also helps in production activity, but not एक firm के level पे measure करना मुश्किल है. Because from the economics point of view, we take only physical capital. So whenever you talk about capital, it is about investment. आपने बोला capital, मैंने extra capital लगाया, मतलब मैंने नया लगाया, machine लगाया, input लगाया, building लगाया. But these are also definition of capital which can be understood beyond. ये आपकी किताबों में कहीं में नहीं दे रखा है, but I've added this. Okay? So this is the third input of production, that is capital. The fourth input, so capital matlab machine, input, machinery. Anything which improves the production. More capital, more production, more output. And what is the endeavor? More output. Labor, skilled, better skilled, more output. Land, use hoga production. The fourth is entrepreneur. The fourth is entrepreneur. Now what does entrepreneur do? Who starts the business empire? Who starts the business or firm. Okay, so entrepreneur is person who is enterprising. Okay, so start the enterprise. Start the enterprise. ठीक है? इंटरेस्टिंग है? बोरिंग है? बोरिंग? सवाल देता हूँ, फिर सॉल्व हो जाएगा तो बताना बोरिंग है कि नहीं है. यू शुड बी एबल टू सॉल्व इट. अच्छी बात है, सॉल्व कर लेंगे तो. हाँ, यस. यू स्टार्टिंग अ न्यू बिजनेस, यू आर एन एंटरप्रेन्योर. ठीक है, इज दैट क्लियर? ठीक है, तो अभी ओके, लेट्स मर्ज ऑल द डायग्राम्स. सर को मर्ज कर देते हैं. ओके, सो वी हैव 4 इनपुट्स ऑफ प्रोडक्शन. क्या क्या है? लैंड, लेबर, कैपिटल, एंटरप्रेन्योर. ठीक है, ठीक है. ये क्या करते हैं? दे कंबाइन देयर एनर्जीज, कोऑपरेशन, एवरीथिंग, एंड दे वर्क इन अ एंटरप्राइज. क्या करते हैं? दे वर्क इन अ एंटरप्राइज. एंड व्हेन दे वर्क इन अ एंटरप्राइज दे गेट बेनिफिट आउट ऑफ दैट. सो फॉर इन लैंड यू गेट व्हाट? क्या मिलता है लैंड में? सो यू विल गेट अ रेंट. Okay, so enterprise will pay you rent. A labor will get the wages. Okay, a capital, you will pay the interest. And entrepreneur will get the profit. So they together come, all of them, they come together and they produce what? Goods and services. Okay, as a output. ठीक है. नाउ गुड्स एंड सर्विसेज आउटपुट प्रोड्यूस करते हैं. इट कैन बी फाइनल गुड और इट कैन बी इंटरमीडिएट गुड. इंटरमीडिएट और फाइनल गुड्स. इन फाइनल गुड्स इट कैन बी ड्यूरेबल गुड्स और इट कैन बी नॉन ड्यूरेबल गुड्स. ठीक है. Again, in the final good, we can have 2 kind of goods. We have consumer goods and we have capital goods. ठीक है. ठीक है. क्लियर हुआ? वी हैव मर्ज्ड ऑल द डायग्राम्स. अब इस पूरे ओपी इज आउटपुट. सॉरी, now in the entire process कौन कौन काम कर रहा है? who are the stakeholders involved in this? So this called is 4 sector economy. So there are private sector, there is a government sector, there is a household, there is external sector. So there are 4 sectors involved in the process. ठीक है, तो फर्म्स जो है दिस वन सेक्टर. देन वी हैव हाउस होल्ड इज पीपल, यूनिट ऑफ द इकोनॉमी हु आर इन्वॉल्व इन इकोनॉमिक डिसीजन. हाउस होल्ड को कैसे डिफाइन करते हैं? दे लिव टुगेदर, they have common kitchen, so basically it's a family. So household means you can, under economics तो family की तरह नहीं देखता है, but household means people who live together, so basically it's a family. So अभी इसको लिखेंगे. So in the entire process we'll integrate with the so 4 sector economy. So in 4 sector में क्या क्या होता है? I'll make a diagram. ठीक है, यहां तक क्लियर है? एनी कंफ्यूजन? शुड आई मूव फॉरवर्ड? सो 4 सेक्टर इकोनॉमी. सो व्हाट आर द 4 सेक्टर्स इन्वॉल्व इन द प्रोडक्शन प्रोसेस? पहला है हाउस होल्ड्स, सेकेंड इज फर्म्स, थर्ड इज government, and fourth is external sector. Now what does household will do? So individual or workers can work in firm, ठीक है, फर्म में काम कर सकते हैं. हाउस होल्ड और क्या कर सकते हैं? कैन ओन अ फर्म, एम आई राइट? फर्म को ओन भी कर सकते हैं. सो यू कैन बी अ लेबर इन अ फर्म, और यू कैन बी एंटरप्रेन्योर, ठीक है, और यू कैन बी अ गवर्नमेंट एम्प्लॉय. आप गवर्नमेंट में काम कर सकते हो, प्राइवेट में भी काम कर सकते हो. हियर यू आर वर्किंग इन अ प्राइवेट, और यू हैव लैंड, सो यू कैन गिव लैंड ऑन rent. Now you might own a capital, so you take a rent also, so you can. Now what are firms? Firms are nothing but these are the production units. These are the production units, जहाँ production हो रहा है. Okay, what does government do? Implements laws. Okay, deliver justice. Make sure that firms or household people are performing economic activity. The government can also provide essential services. So they are involved in trade, export, import. They are involved in capital flow. Okay, so we have 4 sectors of the economy which are involved in the production process. आप सबको interlink कर सकते हो. You can easily interlink the entire production process. All these are, so household are working in the firms. They can also own a capital. इसको लिख लीजिए, then I will link the previous diagram. बच्चों को आइसोलेशन में समझ में आता है. They are not able to interlink things. Earn interest on capital. अगर आप कैपिटल ओन करते हो, so for example, for institute's point of view, this machine is a capital. This machine is a capital. Institute or coachings or school is only mostly about human skill. So most important capital is the skill that a teacher has or mentor has. ये तो aid कर रहा है. This machine is just aiding it. It is just maybe making it more visible. Okay? The recording is better. Quality को improve कर देता है. I remember COVID से पहले we were using the whiteboard. We were using the whiteboard. तो सारा फ्लो चार्ट वाइट बोर्ड बनाते थे. अभी ये चॉइस नहीं था कलर का. आई मीन फॉर दैट यू हैव टू हैव अ मल्टीपल मार्कर. बट अभी चीज़ें अलग हो गई हैं. अभी इसमें पिक्चर लगा सकते हैं, डायग्राम लगा सकते हैं, एनी कैन डू एनीथिंग. देयर इज सो दिस इज बेसिकली अ मशीन विच इज जस्ट इनहांसिंग द क्वालिटी ऑफ प्रोडक्शन. प्रोडक्शन क्या है? द टीचिंग और द क्वालिटी ऑफ टीचिंग यू कैन से. बट मेन तो ह्यूमन स्किल है. So that is how you can link. So you have production में land, labor. So household can of any of these. Household can own a land. Household could be an entrepreneur. Household can work as a labor. Household can provide the service in terms of labor, so they'll get wages. Then these household people, they work normally in a firm. Normally they work in a firm. And when they work in a firm, they are involved in the production activity. They get paid for their work in the form of rent, wages, interest and profit. So the household provide factor. Now these are 4 factors of production. These are 4 factors of production. These are 4 factors of production. So all these 4 factors of production are involved in the production process as input. ये input है. And they get paid for providing the factors. So they are providing factor services. कौन फैक्टर सर्विस प्रोवाइड करता है? हाउसहोल्ड के लोग. सो हाउसहोल्ड कुड बी पार्ट ऑफ लैंड, कुड बी ओनर ऑफ लैंड, कुड बी अ स्किल्ड लेबर और मैनुअल लेबर, कुड बी एंटरप्रेन्योर और दे कुड प्रोवाइड कैपिटल. सो हाउसहोल्ड दे प्रोवाइड ऑल दीज सर्विसेज. सो दे आर प्रोवाइडिंग फैक्टर सर्विसेज. सो हाउसहोल्ड अपना फैक्टर सर्विस प्रोवाइड करता है एंड दे गेट फैक्टर पेमेंट बिकॉज दे आर इन्वॉल्व इन द फैक्टर्स ऑफ प्रोडक्शन. सो गेट फैक्टर पेमेंट किस फॉर्म में होगा? रेंट, वेजेस, प्रॉफिट एंड इंटरेस्ट. Are you getting my point? Now all these people, now firm or household, normally economy में यही होता है, firms and household. But we created a new people called new political system में हमने government create कर दिया. The government will administer the entire thing. They'll create rules so that the firms and factories can operate. Also in a welfare state, because economics in the beginning was about production, economic output. Adam Smith के time it was all profit, production, nothing else. But they said government रहेगा, but government is not involved in production. Government will just make sure that this process continues. The factories are working properly, households are working, there is a rule of law, there is justice, there is no exploitation. But economic activity में government का role नहीं रहेगा. Government will just create an environment in which the entire economic system can operate. Because economic system cannot operate in vacuum. Otherwise lawlessness हो जाएगा. अगर अभी जिस दिन ट्रैफिक इनफेक्टिव होता है उस दिन ट्रैफिक जाम हो जाता है. हमारे ट्रैफिक पुलिस अगर इनफेक्टिव होगा तो ट्रैफिक जाम हो जाएगा इवन दो देयर रेड लाइट्स ऑल ओवर एंड यू हैव नो फियर ऑफ रेड लाइट. यू आर फियरलेस. इन दिल्ली व्हेन यू आर मूविंग यू आर फियरलेस. हेलमेट नहीं लगाया, टोपी नहीं लगाया, कुछ नहीं लगाया. द मोमेंट यू सी अ ट्रैफिक पुलिस यू लाइक सडनली तो आप भीगी बिल्ली बन जाओगे. अरे राइट. गवर्नमेंट का रोल बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट इकोनॉमिक एक्टिविटी में. They'll make sure the economic activity is done. And now they also create rules, regulation rules, how the firm should operate. What is their limitation? If they promise. So there are laws which are created by the firms, government, which will be, so government will implement the laws. They are created by the political system. And then you have outside. Now this is all internal economy. This is part of one economy. Then you have this outside economy. So this is closed economy. So all 3 part of the closed economy. One nation, in a nation you have household, firm and government. That is closed economy. But then we add external sector outside the economy and this is the open economy. So moment we add this, it is called open economy. Are you getting my point? So economy, open economy means there is an interaction of the country with outside nations. Trade, business, capital flow, movement of people, technology, that is open economy. Closed economy consists of firms, household and government. So when moment you add the external sector, it is a part of the open economy. Is that clear? ठीक है? Now we talk about goods का एक और category है, and that is called public good and private good. So let's understand that as well. यहाँ तक clear है? इंटरलिंकेज हो रहा है, प्रोडक्शन से जीरो से इकोनॉमिक एक्टिविटी स्टार्ट हुआ, प्रोडक्शन हुआ, देयर इनपुट्स ऑफ प्रोडक्शन, देयर आर इकोनॉमिक एजेंट, हाउसहोल्ड्स आर इकोनॉमिक एजेंट इन्वॉल्व इन द प्रोडक्शन प्रोसेस, एंटरप्रेन्योर स्टार्ट्स द बिजनेस, फर्म्स, ऑल द इकोनॉमिक एजेंट्स इन हाउसहोल्ड. अच्छा, इकोनॉमिक एजेंट मतलब जो भी इकोनॉमिक डिसीजन ले रहा है इकोनॉमिक एजेंट है. इन अ फैमिली यू आर टेकिंग इकोनॉमिक डिसीजन, यू आर इकोनॉमिक एजेंट, राइट? ओके, आगे बढ़े. नाउ विल टॉक अबाउट गुड्स. गुड्स दो तरह के होते हैं, पब्लिक एंड प्राइवेट गुड्स. नाउ दिस गिवन इन एनसीईआरटीज, तो मैं ये सारा समराइज कर रहा हूँ. इट इज गिवन इन एनसीईआरटीज, so I'm just telling basic things. So goods are of two types, the public goods and the private goods. Okay, so public goods available to all, available to all. ठीक है? It is non excludable, non-rivalrous. ठीक है? एग्जाम्पल पब्लिक पार्क, डिफेंस. ठीक है ना? Then comes the private. Now private, now this concept is very important. Excludable and rivalrous. So this is excludable. अगर एक को मिला दूसरे को नहीं मिलेगा. Excludable, rivalrous. Now private goods are based on or available on market mechanism. Available on market mechanism. So market mechanism का मतलब क्या हुआ? Competition between individuals to obtain goods. Competition among individuals to obtain goods. This is market mechanism. Okay, let's understand excludable and rivalrous. So private goods are based on market mechanism, which means if you have money you can purchase, if you don't have money you cannot purchase. Also they are available in limited quantity because goods are scarce. So let's say you have money but goods are not there, so can you purchase it? Answer is no. So that is why they might exclude you if the goods are in limited number or you don't have resources to purchase. There's rivalry, there's a competition among individuals to get that. Now we have, हमने इकोनॉमी को इतना अच्छे से मैनेज कर लिया है from the theory of economics that availability of resource is there. But let's assume, क्या ऐसा होता है कि आपको जो सामान चाहिए वो immediately मिल जाता है? Do we have such options also where you don't get items immediately? You have to wait for some time. Am I right? Let's say you want a car which is not available, which is high in demand. You have to wait for 6 months, 8 months, 12 months. You want an aeroplane. कल ही चाहिए मुझे, नहीं सुबह चाहिए मेरे दरवाजे पे एरोप्लेन. I mean, पहली बात तो technically it cannot come on your at your door, but let's say you have to wait, you have to order it, you know, then a specification and all, and the biggest part, you should have money. ठीक है? That is a very prime thing. Okay, so private goods are, so here in firms we are mainly concerned about production of private goods based on market mechanism. Market mechanism means based on demand and supply, price, and how we measure the value of good based on price. तो production तो good का कर रहे हैं. Price is just a measuring rod. We are measuring the value of good by price. Then we have public goods. Now public goods are provided by the government, and the reason is that we live in a welfare state. So it is available to everybody, public park. If it is available to you, does not mean he will be excluded. It is abundance में है. Right? अब हो सकता है आपको सर public park छोटा सा है, you know, moment I go, so you have go to another public park. Who says? तो सारा भरा हुआ है. Don't go then. Maybe go to a different city. Right? But technically public goods are available to all. They are non-excludable, and there is non-rivalry also, because it does not exclude you, and there is no rivalry. Everybody has access in terms of it. ठीक है ना? So ये concept हो गया आपका goods का. Then there is one more classification of goods in terms of the nature of good, in terms of, now let's say good is available on what basis? So in mainly what happens, many a times government provides some public goods, and it is provided, but though technically it is provided, but it is not available to everybody. Subsidy, you mentioned subsidy for welfare. Subsidy is available to everybody? No. People who are relatively empowered, उनको available नहीं है. जिनके पास पैसा नहीं है, उनको available है. Am I right? So we can also categorize. ये समझ में आ गया? This is clear? Everybody? This clear? पति clear हो गया? नहीं clear हुआ? अच्छा अच्छा, मुझे लगा नहीं clear हुआ. वो गर्दन ऐसे या ऐसे, दोनों का मतलब सेम ही होता है. हाँ, ठीक है. So goods का एक और क्लासिफिकेशन है, merit goods, then non-merit goods, and sin goods. ठीक है बेटा? So merit good is based on, example, subsidy. Okay? So you should be worthy of subsidy. Okay, so for example, we get food subsidy, water subsidy, सिगरेट्स की स्पेलिंग क्या होती है? CIGARE. सही है, रोज डब्बा देखते हो लगता है. हाँ? ओके. अरे आई एम नॉट आस्किंग द एक्सप्लेनेशन, आई एम जस्ट आस्किंग द स्पेलिंग. मैं भूल गया था ना. जो स्पेलिंग सामने बार बार आता है वो याद रहता है ना? So merit goods. Now these are very subjective. What is merit and non-merit, because it might vary from society to society. अभी इंडिया में private education is not subsidized. It is not subsidized. In fact, अगर पढ़ाई अच्छी होती तो हम लोग नहीं होते. अगर पढ़ाई अच्छी होती, स्कूल एंड कॉलेज में अच्छी पढ़ाई होती तो कोचिंग नहीं चलता. So we are just filling the gap that was not done in your school idly. You paid a hell amount of money there. 10 साल खूब फीस पे किया है. 10 नहीं, I mean not 12, 15 years. 15 to so 3 to 20, हाँ मतलब almost 17-18 years पे किया, right? And then I'm teaching the same thing, basics. और ये हमें भी realize हुआ when we started preparing for examination, then we realized that तो college education non-merit में आ जाएगा. Again, it is very subjective. Some countries में college education भी subsidized है, it is freely available. It might vary from society to society. So merit is very subjective. Who will decide this is on merit? What if tomorrow India becomes very resourceful? So we might say that health is free for all. Education is free for all, till higher education. So in that situation what will happen? Maybe it is a part of, आप कहोगे वो भी merit based हो गया. But that is almost impossible. Till class 12th in USA, education is free. But after that, there is the college fees is very high. Government वहाँ बिल्कुल regulate नहीं करती है. They are not involved. In fact, government does not provide colleges. Yes, there are concept of scholarship and all, but in general, the college education is very costly. Till 12th, I will take care of you. उसके बाद you should have money so that you can do that. But in countries like Scandinavian countries, वहाँ higher education भी free है. But in return, they take very high taxes. 55% tax ले लेते हैं आपसे. They give you pension also. They give you unemployment benefit also. They will give you benefit till you die. Health, education, pension सब वो देंगे. Even so, society को ऐसा बनाया गया है that will take a lot of money from you in terms of taxes, but will give you a lot of things in return also. So you don't feel that state is not giving us back to us. But उसमें ये जरूर हो सकता है that some people are more beneficiary at the cost of others. What if you are very rich and you don't need free education? You have a lot of money, but you don't need free education, but you're still getting it. But there is one person whose income कम है and they have the need of that. So probably for them it is merit based. बिल्कुल unemployed अगर आप हैं, many developed countries they have a concept of unemployment benefits. Furloughs they get. So so in that situation, I mean, they have a bracket of tax. They have a bracket of tax that you have to have X earning to give the tax. So moment you cross that, they will give, and then again it is very subjective, वो rule based होगा. For that I have to study their model की क्या है. हाँ, मतलब मैं एक example दे रहा हूँ. But state is also responsible to give you job. तो state आपको job provide करने में facilitate करेगा. Again, as I said, I do not know the system of those, how this is working. I'm just giving an example that we have countries जहाँ ये system काम करता है. Again, what is that, how it works, I don't know. So again, that is beyond the requirement of UPSC. But अगर उसमें थोड़ा research करना हो तो कर सकते हैं हम लोग. But again, as I mentioned, not needed. So that covers the concept of goods. तो goods को हमने पूरा समझ लिया है. And tomorrow we'll continue. And अभी थोड़ा basics रहेगा. 2-3 lectures. Then the technical part तो नहीं आता. Technical part will mainly come in money, banking. अभी तो also national income is a very tricky part. A lot of students do not understand. So I think अभी तो सब information based है. You should be able to understand. Make your notes properly and don't miss the classes. That is very important. कि class के beyond आपको बहुत कुछ करने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. Because we'll be solving a lot of questions also. Don't miss the test also. Very important. Okay? चलिए, take care. Thank you very much.